There are things hidden behind the mirages of silence, mirages that later reflect all the things we want to hide from ourselves. Just as there are silences that speak 1,000 words. Sometimes we use the silences in order to put in the bag, and we don't end up being like in shame. We don't end up giving a false or just an unlikely or not trustworthy picture of ourselves to somebody else. And when I say not trustworthy, even a picture that isn't aligned with who we actually are, we're also talking about in terms of our own perspective. We want to portray something to others all the time in different contexts, different scenarios. So the way we do it, even though we mostly say we don't care, actually it does. It matters to us. It matters in the way that we cannot give up the idea of what impression am I giving to this person? What impression am I giving to this group of people? Because we're humans and we need to adapt. That is a requirement in our brain. We need to adapt wherever we go, wherever we want to settle. And even not if something I need on a space, on a moment, and it has to go through a group of people. We need to adapt to that situation in order for us to get through and get what we need or get what we want. So it's not something that we put everything back unconsciously. Sometimes we do it consciously. And sometimes we do it because we want to get something back. We want to get something in return from a person, from a group of people, from somebody else. Context matters, situations matters, spaces matter. As I mentioned before, just as there are silences that speak 1,000 words. Now we got into the moment where we are travel, where we have so much going on in our heads, in our minds, how we feel, that silences that speak 1,000 words can even go through our skin, wanting to leak out, wanting to go to the world and scream how bad we are feeling, how bad we are, that we're losing it, that we're losing this battle with life or with something specific that we cannot control. There are pauses to make us a step back, pauses where we reflect these things. Why do I have to hide this from myself? Why is this silence that I'm taking willingly is making me feel so uncomfortable? I want to speak or I don't want to speak. I want to scream. I don't want to scream. So when we actually take a pause and think about why am I doing this? Why am I being so silenced? Or why am I just hiding so many things? It invites you to reflect. It invites you to look on that mirror behind mirages and to see what's going on behind that silence, what's going on behind that tunnel inside my brain. Let's take a pause. Let's reflect a bit. And when you do that, when you think, when you reflect, you start releasing so many emotions, so many reactions, so many impressions. And that's entirely normal. It's entirely normal to afterwards have a range or a variety or even just a single one of of your feelings and emotions. That's totally fine. We find feelings hidden behind the current, while the maladaptive behaviors that develop unconsciously are the star of the show. Uncontrollable obsessions, discord and verbosity, muteness, individual silences, collective silences, disorders that seep through the pores of our skin, shames that aren't even ours, but at the core. When I say that develop unconsciously, yeah, that is one of the way. But some others were developed in a manner that in the process of their developing, we were feeling it, feeling some symptoms, some signals that there is something going on with ourselves. And then we ended up with a mania or some other disorder or symptom of a disorder. Then now we don't know what to do with it. Those collective silences. The collective silence of so many people are things that other people can perceive us in our environment, in our regular spaces such as school, work, even the grocery store. And people can perceive these maladaptive behaviors, these silences, these feelings and emotions. But there is some collective silence where people don't say anything about it. People don't act hours about it. They have the impression they were aware of something, but they decided to keep quiet. This can lead to something dangerous. Silences can also be dangerous, especially when you perceive something that is off, but you remain silent. Not collective. I'm not saying that you need to react to everything everywhere. To people you don't know, to people you know. It's mostly about trying to see when the silence is really dangerous at some point. What's the level of risk that it has when I decide to take that step? But let me continue with hereditary diseases that are now part of our psychology and daily routines that threw us into the world. Sometimes unaware of the immensity of silence, discomfort, and wasted efforts. It's true. There are shames that are even ours. Hereditary diseases, this time in the psychological aspects, because that's the other thing. We have so many things that were passed to us on a hereditary landscapes, and mental diseases can be also a part of it. It can pass one to the other to different beings of your family because that's how it works. It sucks. People tend to think that only physical conditions and diseases can be passed through one family member to the other, but also psychological diseases. So then we talk about tendency. I have a tendency to develop high cholesterol, for example. But then there was a family member that suffered for heavy, heavy depression in the past. It could be for around 7 years, 20 years, whatever, but they suffer for that for a while. You can pass also that. I know it sucks, but that's how different subjects work. But here we are trying to deal with it every day. So even some tendencies we didn't ask for them. That's why I really like the poor wasted efforts. Sometimes it isn't even because we want to get over it. Sometimes it's just that my body just acquires some information from a different family member before I even grow up, before I even was born. I already was born with all my genetics, biological aspects, and there was like this little pad that copy and pasted into my program. And here we are. So sometimes you need more efforts to overcome a mental disease because of that. But we are talking about a vast play where every seed and every haystack is a mental universe capable of envelopment, a ceaseless calm that sometimes yields or stuns us. If there's so much silence, it means everything is fine. If there's so much silence, it means everything is about to go wrong. But who knows? In a world where we are taught to be silent and to speak, contradictions unsettle us and create a mental words that only silence can sometimes soothe. And that is entirely true. We are being asked, we're in a era where we are encouraged to speak, but we also have different media and different sources to do it so. So it's a combination of so many things. We don't only have the permission, we also have the platform. We also have the media to do it. And throughout internal efforts, that is something we need to overcome first. Because some things aren't need to be told in ways that people also want to portray nowadays. We need to talk with a specific person, for example. We need to talk with a group of people from the past that did something to you, or family member, or a friend, or something like that. That's why these contradictions about what I'm hearing in my home versus what I'm hearing from somebody else I just came across with can be really contradictory. Because one person can tell you to not talk, to not speak, to keep quiet, because probably that person was also taught that. And the other person is telling you to speak louder, to tell others what you feel, how you are feeling it, etc. Both aren't good or aren't grown. Both are just different perspectives from people that had different experiences and now they're living their own life in consequence of that or in consequence of other people's actions. And each one of them, neither they are wrong or totally alright. It's just what they believe. Why deciding to be me? Why decided not to be me? Can we be ourselves even when silence assails us? Who knows? But being ourselves isn't something from today. When we are taught about be yourself, do you mean the maladaptive aspect of it? Or the good behavioral aspect that is hidden behind the chorus of my brain? I think that every time someone tells, just be yourself, is it okay to share like all the answer? Like, which answer are you talking about? Because there are things that are being held in the back of my brain because I cannot live a normal life if I let those out. I literally can't. And some people are like that challenge is so bad because they have some pretty bad behaviors that they acquire in their lifetime. And it's like, I would love to let it out, but then I cannot live a life where I can be functional, for example, or I can be validated, or I can feel alright with myself. So that speech of just be yourself, is it enough? It is missing so much information. And that's why I think that just say it like that through a wide range of people, it is just nonsense because you're telling these people to be themselves, but which part of them do you want them to be? There are some things that they aren't releasing because A, they cannot live a normal life if they let those out. B, they haven't just deal with it with some inner problems that they faced in the past, and that's why it is either traumatic or just painful or both for them to let it out and be themselves entirely. And I know I'm missing so many options because this person has to do with so many things and each experience is unique. So being yourself is either going to travel you or is either going to favor you. But there isn't like something that is entirely going to put you aside from that traveling aspect because we sometimes or some people aren't prepared to be themselves because that will be really problematic for them or for others around them. So imagine if all of us get empowered with that phrase. You're also telling other people that it's fine for you to l- release all of you and having all these aspects that some of them need some treatment. But now the world is welcoming everybody as they are, which is great. But I will put some asterisk on that. Everybody as they are, as long as they are conscious of who they are, and as long as they're conscious that they also have problems, and as long as they are conscious that they need to treat some things in order to be fully functional person, fully capable to adapt to different scenarios, to adapt to different circumstances, fully aware that you know they can do that and avoiding harming others, harming themselves, and I can continue. So for me, being who you are is knowing your silences, knowing your limitations, knowing your everything, or at least a great part of what's hidden behind your current. There, that is yours, not anybody else's. So it's a process you need to go through it. But of course, some people can get involved into that path to help, to being conscious about if any mental disorder symptoms or signal that is also included. So being who you are is knowing all that and a bit more. But for you, what is the meaning of that phrase? What do you get every time someone tells that to you? What's the impression you get? Let me know. See you another time. Bye bye.